Yes, we will read that a little later. Basically, what we call consciousness and unconsciousness are functions of the mind. There is a state when the mind is active, there is a state when the mind is dull, in torpor, there's a state when the mind shuts down in deep sleep. That's what we call unconscious. But what Vedanta calls consciousness and what we call consciousness is the mind plus consciousness. You see, when I am seeing, I'm hearing, I'm talking, science of psychology would call these conscious events. Vedanta says these are the event part of it is a part of the mind. The consciousness is not an event, it's a constant illumination, constant light. So, what happens is the mind can shut down, consciousness still remains. So, that consciousness, the pure consciousness, there's no unconsciousness there. There is no absence of consciousness there. In fact, if you understand this, you can see how people make a mistake. There is an increased interest in pure consciousness among psychologists too. And I saw a workshop, a seminar on pure consciousness, um, where there were cognitive scientists, psychologists, linguists, computer scientists, all of them. One of the areas they talked about was pure consciousness, and there were papers on that. And one of the papers was called, wait for it, the name of the paper was Pure Consciousness Events. You're good Vedanta students, that's why you laugh. You understand now why the term itself shows a lack of understanding. You're laughing, you understand. You understand that pure consciousness cannot be an event or a series of events. The event part of it is in the mind, in the sense organs, in the mind. These are changes. And pure consciousness is a constant, unchanging illumination, which cannot be called a event or events. Events happen in pure consciousness. They're illumined by pure consciousness. Pure consciousness itself is not an event. Okay. Yes, there's a question, Devin.
Can you just reiterate what you in the part verse that we read? It says, "My consciousness illuminates the various like thoughts of the mind as given an introspection."
Yes, that's an important point. The fourth verse says, the consciousness by itself illumines the various thoughts, feelings, emotions in the mind. Desire, kama, sankalpa, thoughts, sandeha, doubt, shraddha, faith, ashraddha, lack of faith, dhriti, fortitude, holding on to something, itara, etc. Re, modesty, dhi, understanding, bhi, fear, iti eva madin, and all such things are illumined by consciousness itself. I can put it this way, it's very subtle, but there's a point here. You see, the doubt which may be raised here, and it should be raised, is that why are you saying that consciousness illumines all these? Why can't you say the mind is thinking about the mind? Then I say that consciousness illumines a thought in my mind. Isn't it the mind thinking about that thought? Because the mind can do that. That's the thing. The mind is designed to think about things. So the things which the mind can think about are in the world outside. They are in the body. I can think about my body also. And I can think about my thoughts. I am having spiritual thoughts. I am having non-spiritual thoughts. I am having good thoughts and bad thoughts. I'm trying to remember something. I cannot remember something. This is the mind thinking about itself. This is called introspection. What is mentioned here is not introspection. The simple test of this is, even when I'm not introspecting, suppose I'm fully engaged in some activity, I'm still aware. I'm not thinking about thinking, but I'm still thinking and aware. In fact, that's a much more concentrated state of the mind. And the second proof which the Vedantins gave, why it is different from introspection, is that there is consciousness in deep sleep too. Where the mind is just not thinking, the mind has shut down, there is consciousness. But that many people may not be convinced of. Many people may find it difficult to understand. But just take consciousness as we experience in our day-to-day activities, just now. I can think about what's going on in my mind, or I may not think about what's going on in my mind. Even when I'm not thinking about it, still I experience joy, sadness, satisfaction, lack of satisfaction, understanding, incomprehension. I experience these, which means they are all objects of consciousness. There's one point I'll mention here and later on. The great temptation by reading all this is to try to be a witness. There are meditation techniques where they tell you, now witness your thoughts, witness your sensations, witness your thoughts. And they are good meditation techniques. But Vedanta is not talking about that. The witness that Vedanta talks about is the witness whether you try or you do not try. Whether you ever read Vedanta or you do not read Vedanta, the witness is always the witness. It's not a created witness. It's not a witness we manufacture by effort. What they're pointing out is an existing truth. I remember Swami in Uttarakhand explaining this, what we are reading. So he's explaining this. After having explained this, at the end of the class, he says, in Hindi, he says, what he said was, well, Swamis, we're all around with Swamis. So, Swamis, do you feel that you are the Sakshi, the witness? Do you feel that? And now you feel it, don't you, that we are the witness? And many of them nodded, yes. What he said works very well in Hindi. He said, "Bahut bade gadhe mein giroge." You're going to fall into a pretty big hole, which you have dug for yourself. The witness which you feel that I am the witness of everything, which I try to think of myself as the witness, I'm thinking about it. It's something that I'm generating with my mind. It was not there earlier. The moment you leave and you face a traffic jam on the 101, that witness will go away. It's something you're thinking about. The moment you stop thinking that I'm a witness, you don't feel that you are a witness anymore. That is not the real witness. Though I'm not saying that thinking like that is bad. Thinking like that is good. It's a good practice. But that's not the Vedantic witness, the real self. The real self is the self all the time. There is a witness all the time. One more question, then we are done. Yes.
So, since we have so many distractions when we are awake through our senses, can we take comfort in the hours that we have where there is only consciousness?
Yes. In fact, we do take comfort. The most comforting thing that we have is deep sleep. The most relaxing thing. Our mind gets tired by thinking about objects, experiencing objects. The mind shuts down. Pure consciousness by itself is not tiring. What gets tired is the mind. So the hours of pure consciousness and deep sleep are most comforting. And those who are great meditators, those who can experience samadhi, it is said that the deepest relaxation is possible in samadhi when they can consciously, deliberately shut the mind down. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. And they experience the deepest relaxation. In fact, it is said that those who have experienced samadhi, they need not sleep. Their requirement of sleep goes down.